Music. Hey there, welcome to another new video from F1 News. This weekend is super important for Mercedes. There's not much information about the new Formula One cars comparing information to last season doesn't help, but in Barcelona the teams can look at how much they've improved for the first time before this season. Several winter practice sessions already happened at the Barcelona Catalunya track. Mercedes, like other teams, can see where they've gotten better. Has the bouncing or jumping up and down gotten less, and are they going in the right way? And what about the speed around corners and especially on the straight parts? The people who work on the cars are going to have a really busy weekend trying to get answers to some of these really important questions. In this video, we will talk about what we expect and tell you the latest news about the plan and improvements that Mercedes will use. But first, we would like to ask you to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to press the bell so you don't miss an update. Done. Then let's get started. After a crazy start to the GP season for Mercedes, it is really time to change direction, and to change direction, the team needs the right information to make decisions. So far, they are guessing in the dark. The changes seem to have no effect, and a downward slide is easy to see in Team Mercedes. The comments the team gets are really harsh. Toto Wolff is getting lots of criticism. Hamilton is always in the news, and not always in a good way, and the fights between the FIA are not helping. A big change should come this weekend in Barcelona. Mercedes will have the chance for the first time to really look at how much they've improved and figure out what it means. There is one big problem with this: the Mercedes car from the winter practice looked different from the current W13 during the practice days in Barcelona. Hamilton and Russell still drove the old style, including big side parts in the second week of testing. In Bahrain, they brought out the current style. The information will not be completely right, but may give better information about, for example, bouncing. However, if the information is wrong and they still do not know whether they have gone in the right way, then it could be a really bad weekend. Team boss Toto Wolff said before that there is still a chance that the current idea ends up in the trash. We've been very clear about it from the start. We're a bit guessing in the dark, said Toto Wolff. Obviously, the car has ability and is fast, but we just don't understand how to get the ability out of the car. It's super hard to control the car, and it goes in and out of the right spot every time. Then looking at all the information piece by piece is a painful process because it takes a very long time sometimes. The information also doesn't tell us what the driver tells us. The Mercedes drivers have to help where needed, but Wolff also understands that they have their hands full with a car they can't drive easily or at all in a way you can predict when driving. The information doesn't show the ups and downs and how well it works, and we haven't had this situation in previous years. What's on the computer screens and what the drivers tell us doesn't match, and that makes it extra hard. Wolff explains that Mercedes would rather not go back to the old idea of the W13 still. It stays a choice if things get really bad. I wouldn't say no to that choice in any case, but we have to give the idea and the people who worked on it a fair chance. First, they've built good race cars in the past, and we believe this is the way to go. During Friday practice before the Miami Grand Prix, Mercedes was suddenly a lot faster than before the Miami GP weekend. The team already said that it was trying out some improvements. They seemed to work until Saturday. Suddenly things got worse for the team. However, the ability is there. Mercedes has worked hard with the good information after the Miami GP and hopes to go back in the right way in Spain. If they can build on the earlier results in Miami, then a big step forward can be made during Friday practice. We already saw a hint of what the car could do. We tried more things with the setup and put on some new parts, which has given us answers and hints as to where we should go, said Wolff in his preview at the Spanish Grand Prix. As F1 experts, we will take you through the technical side of the problem, starting with the question of whether ZeroPod is the way forward or whether going back to the setup of the first week of testing will lead to better results. The more Mercedes digs into the W13's problems, the more the team gets the feeling that ZeroPod in its current form is part of those problems. The almost complete removal of the side parts results in much more floor space being shown than with other teams, and this part is the most sensitive part of the car thanks to the ground effect. When you walk across the grid, you see that the sides of our floors are much more out in the open than those of other teams. That somehow creates a lot more shakiness, said team boss Wolff. That's where our idea is different from other teams. The car from the first Week of testing in Barcelona is slower on paper, but we have to see if we can get the current car easy to predict for the drivers. Mercedes indeed shows more of the floor space than the other teams. Removing the side parts would make the airflow better according to Mercedes and spread the pressure over a bigger part of the floor. It should have given airflow benefits, but according to Wolff it actually makes the floor idea more sensitive, and that would partly explain why drivers already have to deal with bouncing at a pretty low speed, because this problem already happens at low speeds. The bouncing also lasts longer in the slowing down areas. It shows an important difference from the Ferrari, which also bounces on straights, but is right away steady when slowing down. The Mercedes car is not, and is so much more unpredictable. In addition to the sensitivity of the open floor space, Mercedes has found another problem with their idea, as all teams struggled to some degree with bouncing. After the first days of testing, the FIA has allowed metal support on both sides of the car, just in front of the back wheels. These props should limit floor bending and thus prevent the floor from stopping working, which is so typical of bouncing with Mercedes. It can be seen that these supports are longer than on other cars and that they do not go through the bodywork. The supports are a must for Mercedes, while for some other teams, it's been a matter of choice. Some teams had first added extra weight to the floor to prevent bending, but were able to save the weight again through the metal supports. This is not the case at Mercedes, although there is still a disadvantage to the Zeropod idea of the lack of hidden supports. These supports are completely hidden in the bodywork of the side parts. It makes teams talk about hidden supports, although the importance of this cannot be underestimated. The metal supports provide extra steadiness at an important point closer to the center of the floor. Because these mounts are not out in the open to the airflow, they are not subject to rules like the mounts approved by the FIA. Teams are given the choice, and that freedom is used in the best way possible. For example, some teams have placed multiple supports under the bodywork. Red Bull has gone for a single but slightly more complex build with different arms. Red Bull's improvements and Ferrari's different approach have painfully resulted in Mercedes no longer being seen as competition in the current GP battle. Mercedes has to get to work and fast too. Tell us what you expect from Barcelona and share them in the comments section below, but please keep it respectful. Thank you again for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in a new video.